All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave, yet again, talking about As the Journey Turns. More journey drama, and doing it in real time for a few real people out here just like you and just like me. So, Neal Schon has responded to the criticism that has been leveled against Arnell about his performance in Chile. And folks, this has the same feeling. Okay. I'm going to be talking candidly about a couple of issues that I haven't talked about before. Before I talk about what this seems like again to me, I want to say this. Neal Schon at one point was supportive of this channel. All right. A couple of years, 3-4 years ago, he did something to help this channel. And I became more aware of his side of the story. I intentionally tried to be maybe pro Neal rather than just look at everything and say, this is how I'm seeing it. This is the last couple of years, I've had to kind of revert back to my 2017, 2018 persona on all of this. Not that I'm pro John, not that I'm pro Arnell or pro anyone in the band. If anyone, I'm pro Dean. All right. I'm still Dean. He's a great dude, man. He is just a good guy, and I love Dean, but and he's just kind of trapped in the middle of all of this. But when it comes to these issues like, hey, did he max out the credit card? No, of course not. He didn't. But yet they're saying he did. So what does that mean? It means he probably did, right? Because he's not saying he didn't. He said to one guy on X, he said, what's that to you? Why do you care? So I've tried more recently just to be my old self. For a couple of years, I was giving Neal Schon the benefit of the doubt, but some things started to happen. Like when dealing with Steve Perry, he said that the media was driving a wedge between himself and Steve Perry. It was the media's fault. The thing with his wife where she got assaulted, something like that at a show, and they tried to find footage to show that she got assaulted, and then for some mysterious reason, that bit of footage that would have shown the altercation was missing, as if somebody went in there and just erased a portion of the tape. Things became a little bit more far-fetched, and I started to think, okay, what's the truth here? And so, they call this gaslighting, by the way. If you haven't heard that term before, you're being told one thing while you're seeing something completely different. And then you come back and you tell people, I just saw what happened. In the case of Arnell, I just listened to it. And then I let other people listen to it. This was a live television broadcast. And the recording itself is actually pretty high quality. But Neal Schon is saying the performance was sabotaged by the headlining band. All right, that's what he's saying today. So in the category of when you think you've heard everything that you could possibly hear, add another layer of that. Add something new to that. So let me get to the story. And there's some interesting writing here in this article that, again, is classic media. This is what the political environment is like right now, too. The Trump stuff, the JD Vance stuff that you're going to hear out there. It's just, you're like, really? That's not what happened. The ducks or whatever, the cats and the ducks. I don't want to go down that road right now. That's another video, and I probably will do it. So anyway, Neal Schon has spoken up in support of his bandmate Arnel Pineda after the singer. Here's where the media gets to do their great journalism. After the singer received negative comments for his recent performance, at Rock in Rio. Now, did he have a bad performance in Rio, or are the negative comments just coming out of nowhere for no reason? Why would there be he's speaking in support after Arnell just got some random negative comments. Not that his performance was bad, it's just that people said things, right? So this is classic media. So couldn't the journalist in question here go and listen to the performance and say something like this after Arnell had a subpar performance in Rio? Not because, it's almost like it's the comments that are the problem, not the performance. So anyway, that's something I noticed. So Neal Schon accuses headliners Avenged Sevenfold of sabotaging their set. Does that sound like the thing with the media and Steve Perry and the alleged assault? Does that kind of sound very similar? Like you throw out this accusation against Avenged Sevenfold. Now, who are these guys? Well, I had to look it up because everybody says I know everything. I don't know anything about music compared to a lot of people. Avenged Sevenfold is an American heavy metal band from Huntington Beach, California, formed in 1999. That's it. That's all I know. The genres: heavy metal, alternative metal, hard rock, metalcore, progressive metal. So they were the headliner. And they, according to Neal Schon, sabotaged Journey's set. Now, I'm wondering, were the guys in the band, were they running around pulling plugs out of sockets or unplugging microphones or running over to the soundboard? Were they doing that and saying, hey, look over there? And then, messing with the controls? Were they doing that? Oh, what happened to our EQ? It's completely whacked. I should not have looked when that guy told me to look. I mean, how did they sabotage the set? Of course, Arnell said he was, now get this again, related to last night. Arnell said he was devastated over a subpar performance and offered to quit the band if 1 million fans told him to go. Can I just chime in on this briefly? You don't say this unless you actually want it to happen, unless you want to be put out of your own misery. If 1 million people came along and said, go, he could say, hey, they don't want me here anymore. He'd have an excuse to just tell them, I don't want to do this anymore. My gut feeling tells me that he doesn't want to do this anymore. All right. And none of this is his fault. I put the blame on the people that are allowing him to continue. It's akin to lead vocalist abuse to keep him out there. Yes, just keep him out there. We have to keep the brand intact. We don't want to mess it up. Really? You've already switched singers a number of times. I mean, let's go back to Greg Raleigh was your original singer. You've been switching singers. That's been a consistent thing within Journey. You switch singers. So there'd be no crime in switching singers again. There'd be no, in fact, I think there's only upside at this stage after what happened in Chile. So you're blaming the band Avenged Sevenfold for your problem. All this, and he goes on, and this is classic, all this absolute garbage, fabricated BS about Arnell. Does this look like nobody had a good time? Now, I watched the audience, and the audience was mildly interested in this performance. And one of the indicators that this wasn't the typical reaction to a Journey show was after Don't Stop Believin', which I believe was the second to last song. By the way, one of the highlights of this, which I didn't mention, was they let Dean Castronovo sing Lights, and Dean nailed it. Dean was the brightest star up there And if the Sabotage, by the way, was so extensive, why didn't it work against Dean Castronovo? Because he sounded mint. All right. And you can go listen to Lights. Now, I suggested that they throw Dean a couple of songs that were more mainstream about 6 months ago. And that was after hearing the initial performances of the band when they started this tour. And someone said, well, you can't give Dean high profile songs because then people are going to realize that maybe Arnel can't handle it. Well, Lights is not Still They Ride or Mother Father. Lights is a huge Journey song, and Dean did a superb job. So if this really was Sabotage, why didn't Dean sound like crap? He didn't. He sounded great. So anyway, figured I'd throw that little factoid in there. So Neal talks about if people are having a good time, the reaction after Don't Stop Believin' was very subdued compared to what it normally is. I mean, that is the biggest song of all time, according to Forbes magazine. So the people in Chile would have been cheering and screaming and yelling. They were clapping, but it was very polite. That's all I can say. It wasn't anything over the top. Now, he says all fabricated. I don't know what he's talking about here. I guess the reporting is all fabricated, owned and bought blogs. Now, oh, I wish I was owned and bought by somebody. Can someone own and buy me out so I can retire? Couple $1,000,000 and I'll say whatever you want me to say. Right? I don't know if I would actually do that, but I wish I was owned and bought by someone. Who am I owned and bought by? Google AdSense revenue? No. No. I mean, they're completely fighting against me. I've got 81,000 subscribers or whatever, and if I get like 8,000 views on a video, that to me is like, whoa, viral. I went viral, dude. I'm so owned and bought. He's referring to blogs. This isn't a blog. Some people would call it a vlog, maybe. But I'm not owned and bought by anybody. I'm independent. I was once called the not so real music observer by Neal Schon. In fact, I even have whole channels on YouTube now who are trolling me. Whole channels. Before I used to just have comments. And so because now I don't have comments, you can't troll me with comments. So you've got whole channels dedicated to trolling me. So who am I owned by? If I was owned by somebody, they would never let that happen. Nope. Just putting it out there. Pray for me. Pray for this channel because this stuff, I'll think about this stuff and then I'll just freeze. I won't be able to do anything because it's just my old inferiority complex rearing its ugly head. And it sucks to have to deal with that. But you know what? I'm in this. It's my fault. So he says to Arnel, hey, Arnel, don't listen to these blogs. They're all bought. He says, you've kicked ass. You've kicked? Like past tense? Yes, he has in the past. He did not do it in Chile. So then Neal adds another clip showing Journey taking a bow at the end of the Rio performance and said the headlining act imposed control over his band's sound output. Now, I did notice that Arnel was running around a little bit, pointing at the microphone. He did this a couple of times, like, hey, boost the volume. I don't think that would have helped this, though. Maybe there were some sound issues, but there was some vocal issues. And I don't know if the sound, I guess, maybe so he doesn't have to sing as loud and try to project his voice. I'm not sure. I don't know. But why did Dean Castronovo sound so good? I'm just putting that in there again to just show people. You go listen when Dean does lights, it's like, there it is. There's Journey. I just started smiling. I'm going, Dean Castronovo, Money in the Bank. Just great singer. Anyway, Neal Schon says, we found out much later that we got extremely limited. What does that mean? We got extremely limited by Avenged Sevenfold. That means that hardly any sound can get through the PA to the audience. It's a BS move, he says. Despite that, check out the audience. They loved it. So you can't have this go both ways. The audience loved it, but we were sabotaged. Which is it? This is schizophrenia here. I don't think they loved it. I think they politely applauded. This is Journey after all. This is a big deal. He goes on to say the rest of it is fabricated crap. When a follower asked if the sound tech couldn't have resolved the problem, meaning Journey's sound tech, Neal said nope, while another fan explained that sound equipment can be locked up and password protected. Oh no, that's getting way too sophisticated. Asked why Avenged Sevenfold had been the headliner rather than Journey, Neal said simply, politics. So it's political BS, fabricated bloggers. Man, this is, folks, this is why I've kind of jumped off whatever side of this argument is, trying to get my attention. And I've appreciated, I definitely appreciated the support of this channel in the past by certain members of Journey, for sure. And that helped the channel because, quite honestly, I'm not bought and paid for it. So hence, this is why I tell people Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee. I mean, I can't book a $10,000 hotel room. I can't do it. I'd be bankrupt. I wouldn't be able to pay it. 10,000? Nope. Sorry, I don't have a private jet either. No private jets. No American Express. I don't have an American Express card. I own a bank debit card. That's what I have. That's it. So, yeah, I wish I was bought and paid for, but I'm not. The last part of this, again, is politics. Everything is a conspiracy. They're out to get us. Arnell did great. All right. Well, again, compare Arnell to Dean Castronovo during this performance. If Dean hadn't sung during this, hadn't done a song during this, there would be no A-B comparison. But you can easily hear the difference between the two singers. Dean, by the way, is singing through one of those crappy drummer headset microphones. And he's nailing it during lights. Just a great performance. So anyway, the Journey, it says here, the next leg of Journey's tour takes them to Japan in October, while their next confirmed U.S. date is on December 28th in Lincoln, California. Now, I said this last night, and I think it's probably going to be true, unfortunately. People are asking me, do you think Arnell's going to quit? Do you think anything's going to change? Nope. And by the way, again, Jonathan Cain, who doesn't weigh in on any of this stuff, he looked miserable during this performance. He looked like he wanted to be 1,000 other places than playing keyboards in Chile. He just did what he had to do, and he got the hell out of there. And I don't blame him. That was a train wreck. And so we'll see. We'll see if I'm sure if he gets some rest, which he will get some rest between the next shows, he'll probably do better, hopefully, in Japan. But long-term, folks, this is not a singer that can do this for too much longer. But I don't think anything's going to change. I just don't. I don't know why that is, but it's not as if they haven't been changing singers throughout their 50-year history. It's just weird how all of a sudden now we're just going to hold on because, we're going to mess up the brand or whatever. And then people aren't going to come and see us anymore because we've changed the singer too many times. So that's the video on this. Again, I did post a link to the performance in the video I did last night. So that was Sunday evening. So please go back and watch that. And then, again, check out the performance for yourself and then make your own assessment. Was it sabotage? Avenged sevenfold. Did they avenge sevenfold times against Journey? Was it their name? I don't know. Anyway, join me again next time for another edition of As the Journey Turns, brought to you by me and Calgon, because it is time for Calgon to take us all away. Better yet, it would be better if Jesus showed up and took us all away. That's the way I'm feeling these days. God bless everyone. Watch out for the trolling channels. If you see me on another channel, that wasn't authorized by me, and you should send your complaints to the powers that be.